Before we get started on this review, I just want to say that I very much enjoyed Darktide, and this review is about the pre-order beta, so while I have my criticism of the game, I do understand that Fat Shark Games is hard at work with making it better, and hopefully some things will change by the time of the full release. Anyways, let's get on with the video. Darktide is getting very close to its official release. In fact, it's going to be releasing in a couple hours of the posting of this video. Originally, I wanted to get this out on Sunday, however, I was busy, procrastinating. A lot of you may be wondering if the Darktide pre-order beta actually did anything good for the game, or if it was just there to encourage people to buy the game before its full release, and the answer is yes, to both of them. I can't deny that the Darktide pre-order beta did push some people to buy the game before its full release, but Fat Shark Games has also been doing a lot to improve the game based off the pre-order beta feedback. One example is the crashing issues. I personally have only crashed about 4 or 5 times in my entire time playing the pre-order beta, which at the time of me writing and recording this is just shy of 17 hours. However, one of my friends, Psyker, has had numerous crashes throughout the beta. However, Fat Shark Games is doing a lot with fixing crashes and optimizing the game, and my friend Psyker went from this... Oh, bye Psyker. Welcome back, Psyker. Bye, Psyker. Hey, welcome back, Psyker. Bye, Psyker. Hi, and bye again, Psyker. No, what? I was in cover!
Thank you, veteran.
This is just one game, by the way. Psyker went from that to rarely crashing at all. Unless I message him on Discord, because I'm not really sure why, but my messages specifically seem to crash his game, and kinda hope they don't fix that, because I like to make Psyker suffer. Sorry, dude. Darktide's stability and performance has improved a lot throughout the pre-order beta, and on the off chance that any of the developers see this video, I just want to thank you so much for your constant work on the game. That said, Darktide still has quite a few issues, especially on the technical front. The game still has frame drops and has crashes for many as well, and just recently I started crashing when using one particular Psyker staff and I had to stop using it. Dude. Okay, it's the staff. My staff is crashing my game. Despite their progress on improving the stability and performance of the game, there's still a lot of work to be done. People with lower end PCs will definitely struggle to run it at a solid 60 FPS and will likely have to run it at 40 FPS or below. Hopefully as time goes on, Darktide can be optimized to a point where everyone can run at least 60 consistent frames, even during a horde. As for Darktide's gameplay, it has a lot of things going for it. The weapon variety is so much more varied in the pre-order beta compared to the closed betas. You have las guns, bolt guns, augers with a club and shield, chain swords, and so much more. Moving on from the weapons, let's talk about the classes in Darktide. The classes for the most part feel pretty distinct, though I do believe that the Zealot needs some love, because their charge ability gets pushed back by enemy ranged fire, which is a bit iffy to me considering their charge is meant to close the distance on said enemies. And my other problem with classes is that the Psyker scales a bit poorly into higher level missions compared to other classes. Especially their brain bursts, as starting on Heresy it takes at least 2 brain bursts to kill a single poxhound. And the Psyker skill tree also feels kinda bare bones compared to the other classes. One example is this clip where one of my friends was actually using the camo trait for veteran, which led them to a really funny moment where all of these specials just straight up ignored him.
You are anu impediment to opposing forces, order and change. Whether or not you're still in the same dream or not, I don't fucking know. Nobody knows, and in fact...
While the trait isn't anything fancy, it does provide a pretty unique gameplay experience, and it helped them a lot in this particular moment. Speaking of the veteran is definitely the best class right now in my opinion, but rather than nerf veteran, I would prefer if Fat Shark Games buff the other classes instead to make them a lot more viable and to increase their strengths. For anyone playing difficulty 3, also known as Malice, or lower, you won't really notice or care about these class performance differences, but if you're playing on difficulty 4 and 5, otherwise known as Heresy and Damnation respectively, you'll start to notice these things more and more, and you'll really wish you didn't have a party of 3 Psykers and a Zealot. Despite these issues though, the core gameplay of Darktide is still immensely fun, and really simulates the feeling of a horde game well in my opinion. Continuing on difficulty though, I find that there's a large jump in difficulty between the differing levels. The first 2 difficulties, Sedition and Uprising, are easily completable as a solo queue player, even if your character is level 5 or below. Malice, the 3rd difficulty, is where things start to become a bit more challenging, and you can't mindlessly run through everything, which to me is absolutely fair. But then once you get to Heresy and Damnation, the game is much harder, especially in quick play. In my opinion, these difficulties are much more suited to pre-made parties of decently leveled characters as opposed to quick playing into it, which leads us to some of the bigger issues I've had with Darktide. First off is the way enemy spawning is currently handled in Darktide. It's extremely frustrating. It's entirely possible that it's just a bug with how spawning works, but right now it seems like enemies just appear out of thin air the moment nobody is looking at a specific space. It doesn't matter how close or far away it is. Here's 2 videos I got from Reddit that help showcase this. Side note, thank you to the 2 kind Redditors who let me use their video footage for this as well. As you can see, the spawning mechanics of the enemies just make no sense at all sometimes. It makes it so that you're never really safe from enemies even if you cleared an area of it or if it was already clear by the time you got there. If this is on purpose, I think it's just bad mechanics, and if this is a bug, I hope that it's patched soon because this is just kind of ridiculous. And these enemies spawning right on top of you can really mess up your run, especially in higher difficulties. And it doesn't feel very fair or fun to die because a bunch of enemies spawned right on your back because nobody was looking there. My other big issue with the game is that lower level players are allowed into high difficulties way too early. I believe it's somewhere around level 6 that you can start playing on Heresy, and not too far after you can start playing on Damnation as well, which is the highest difficulty in the game. And the average level 6 player will likely struggle on playing Malice alone, maybe even Uprising as well if they don't have any prior experience with other FPS games or any other kind of horde game. It's a terrible feeling loading into a higher difficulty game and seeing that your teammates haven't even unlocked the second perk in their class tree yet and are probably running underpowered levels as the available weapons that one can use is tied to their class level as well. I've seen some people recommend that they increase the level needed to play Heresy and Damnation to level 20, and while I agree that level 6 is way too low to be allowed into Heresy or Damnation, and maybe even Malice as well, I think it will be far better to go back to the Vermintide 2 style of needing a minimum character or class power level that is based off of their gear in order to do higher difficulty missions. It's not a perfect solution, and I doubt we'll ever have one, but I think it's better than a level system as gear matters a lot in Darktide. So even if you're a high level player or a Vermintide 2 veteran, if your gear isn't that great, you'll still struggle more in higher difficulties. So I think this is the best solution we have at the moment. The one thing I don't really have any criticism about in Darktide is the sound design. I found Darktide's sound design to be some of the best I've experienced in a long time. I've had many moments where I just kind of stopped and listened to the oncoming sound of a horde. And the music tracks for Darktide are absolutely amazing and really give a great atmosphere to the game. Darktide is one of the few games where I keep the music volume up so I can listen to it as I play. I absolutely love the sound design in Darktide, and huge props to the people who worked on it as well. The last things I want to talk about in this review is crafting, cosmetics, and the challenges otherwise known as penances. Pennies. The penny system. The crafting in Darktide unfortunately has not been fully released yet, and it won't be out in time for the full release of the game as well. During the pre-order beta, all we could do was upgrade our weapons and accessories with blessings. Blessings are additional effects that can be added onto them that can modify different parts of your stats. In my experience, it's better to add blessings to low rarity items that don't have any blessings on them yet, but do have high stats, as some weapons with a higher rating might have bad stats, but is rated highly due to the fact that they have a blessing added onto them, so just keep that in mind. Also, if you're finding it hard to read the UI for weapon stats, we're all honestly in the same boat there. I believe Fatjar Games is reworking the way they represent stats, and I really hope that it's in time for the full release because at the moment, the current UI for the stats is a bit of a mess. The cosmetics for Darktide in the pre-order beta have been earnable only through 3 ways so far. Twitch drops, the in-game shop using the same currency that you use to buy weapons, and by completing challenges. I have no problem at all with the in-game shop for cosmetics as it helps give a little something else for players to grind for. I also don't really have an issue with Twitch drops existing. However, the current way of Twitch drops seems to be bugged for some, including myself. The way Twitch drops were implemented during the pre-order beta was that you had to have already launched the game in order to start earning any progress on receiving drops, and you also had to go to the website to log into your Steam or Windows account, and then your Twitch account, and then you had to connect to. The issue that I and some others experienced was that logging onto Steam or Windows would log you out of your Twitch, and vice versa, thus making it impossible to connect the 2 accounts, and I hope Fatjar Games will be able to fix this as well. After Darktide is fully released, I believe that the other ways we'll be able to get cosmetics is through DLC and premium currency. I don't really have an issue with these things. The only thing I really want to say is please keep any microtransactions to cosmetics only. I cannot stress this enough. Locking any kind of gameplay content behind microtransactions, whether it be a battle pass or something else, is starting to happen a bit more, with examples being Gundam Evolution and Overwatch 2, and I really don't want Darktide to do the same. If they make DLCs for additional campaigns, I'm fine with that, as long as it's not a crazy amount of money for very little content. And if they make cosmetics only DLCs, I'm perfectly fine with that as well. The final thing I want to talk about in Darktide is the challenge system, otherwise known as penances. Most of the challenges in the game aren't that bad in my opinion, but the ones that are problematic are the class challenges that unlock specific cosmetics. I think cosmetics being unlocked through challenges is great and I want to see more of it. Rewarding players for completing certain challenges is something I can wholeheartedly support. My problem, however, with the current system is some of these challenges seem unnecessarily hard or can easily be ruined, like the Psyker solo kill a monstrosity challenge, where only the Psyker is allowed to damage a monstrosity and all the damage has to be done by brain burst only, while also playing on heresy or higher. This challenge is easily ruined and in turn encourages people to partially throw games in order to get challenges done if you don't have a group to help you with it. And many of these challenges require you to be on heresy or higher, which is already very difficult to complete in solo queue. With the way many of these current challenges are, people have to play in a very selfish manner to try to complete them, while also playing at higher difficulties, which just makes for a very bad quick play experience in my opinion. I hope that Fat Shark Games reworks the challenges a bit. These challenges shouldn't be easy to complete, but you shouldn't feel the need to go out of your way to play in a manner that handicaps your team, like the veterans hit every shot and have no ammo at the end of the mission challenge, or the zealots have only one wound bar left for 75% in the mission challenge. Overall, despite my complaints, I think Darktide has a very strong core. Warhammer 40k provides a vast world full of lore that can be explored. The gameplay loop is incredibly fun in my opinion. The classes are all unique, they just need some touch-ups. And I have high hopes for Darktide overall. And to the developers, while I know I pointed out a lot of criticism throughout this review, I appreciate the hard work that you all put into the game. I look forward to see how Darktide progresses from here on out. Side note, I just want to give a shout out to all the people who submitted videos for me to use in this review when I asked in the Fat Shark Creator Discord. You'll find links to their channels below, and if you're wondering why I needed other people's footage for this review, it's because I'm kind of a Psyker one trick. Please buff Psyker, please. Anyways, y'all, thank you all so much for watching, and if you like, you can check out my other videos on this channel. I play a variety of stuff and do multiple video formats like reviews, let's plays, and more. I also have a second YouTube channel where I'm trying to focus more on educational content for whatever game that I'm interested in, and that includes Darktide. And finally, I also stream several times a week on Twitch, so if you want to see me live and, well, be dumb, you can. The links to all my socials will also be in the description below. Thanks, y'all, and I hope you have an awesome day.